My mom insisted I let my Ch-ating ex attend my wedding for family harmony. I looked her dead in the eye and said, he can come, but only to watch me marry someone better. My ex's jaw dropped when my fiancé spoke next. I knew wedding planning would be stressful, but I never expected my own mother to be the biggest problem. I thought maybe she'd nitpick the flower arrangements or complain about my dress being too modern. But no. Instead, she sat across from me at my kitchen table, calmly stirring her tea, and told me with a straight face that I should invite my cheating ex to my wedding. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I thought it had to be a joke. A really bad, messed up joke. You're serious? I finally said, setting my coffee down before I accidentally threw it at the wall. Mom didn't even blink. Mia, sweetheart, it's the right thing to do. I stared at her, trying to understand how the woman who raised me could be saying something so insane. You mean it's the stupidest thing to do? I shot back. She let out a long sigh, the kind that said I was being difficult again. Sweetheart, Cody's family has been friends with ours for years. His mother called me the other day, practically in tears, saying how hurt they all were that he wasn't invited. They still consider you family. I felt my jaw tighten. Cody's family. The same people who had defended him after he got caught cheating on me with my so-called best friend. The same ones who told me I should understand that men make mistakes and not let one little thing ruin years of history. Yeah, well, I stopped considering them family when they took his side after he destroyed my life. I snapped. Mom had the audacity to look exasperated. Like I was being petty. Like I was the one making things hard. That was years ago, Mia, she said, rubbing her temples. You can't still hold a grudge. I let out a humorless laugh. 2 years, Mom. 2 years is not years ago. It wasn't a high school breakup. It wasn't some mutual decision. He betrayed me, lied to my face, slept with my best friend, and let me think I was crazy when I started noticing things were off. It took me months to get out of bed after that. And you think I should let him come to my wedding? Mom pursed her lips. I just think forgiveness is important. Forgiveness. Right. Easy to say when you weren't the one whose heart had been ripped out and stomped on. You know what? Fine, I said, leaning forward. He can come, but only to watch me marry someone better than him. For the first time, my mother hesitated. And before she could come up with another ridiculous argument, a voice came from behind me. I don't mind. I turned, and there was Kai, my fiancé. He walked into the kitchen, all calm confidence, his dark eyes unreadable. His presence alone was enough to shift the energy in the room. Mom perked up. See? Even Kai is being mature about it. I expected him to be annoyed. Instead, there was a smirk tugging at his lips. But it wasn't amusement. It was something sharper. Something dangerous. Let him come, Kai said smoothly. Let him sit there and watch. Might be good for him. A little education on what he lost. I almost choked. Mom blinked. Well, besides, Kai continued, pouring himself a cup of coffee like we weren't discussing something utterly ridiculous. It'd be a shame for him to miss it. After all, he was never man enough to deserve her. He might learn something by seeing what a real man looks like. Mom's mouth opened and closed. She wasn't used to people pushing back against her. And she definitely wasn't used to someone outmaneuvering her. I turned to Kai, narrowing my eyes. You're enjoying this way too much. He took a sip of his coffee, his smirk widening. Maybe a little. I exhaled, pinching the bridge of my nose. This was not happening. This could not be happening. But at the same time, a small, dark part of me liked the idea. Liked the thought of Cody sitting there, watching me stand at the altar with a man who actually deserved me. Mom, sensing she had won, at least in her mind, stood up and patted my hand. I knew you'd see reasons, sweetheart. You're too good to be bitter. I didn't bother correcting her. Because this wasn't about bitterness. It was about making Cody regret every single decision that led him to losing me. The first time I saw Cody again was at my cousin's birthday dinner a few weeks later. I hadn't planned on seeing him until the wedding, which, frankly, I wasn't even convinced he'd have the nerve to show up for. But apparently, fate had other ideas. I was sitting at the restaurant, chatting with my cousin's wife, when I felt it, that shift in the air, that weird, creeping sensation of being watched. And then I heard his voice. Hey, Mia. I turned, and there he was. Cody. He looked the same, but also, somehow, smaller. Like a faded version of the man I had once loved. His eyes flicked to my engagement ring, and I saw it, the flash of regret. Good. You look good, he said awkwardly. I just took a sip of my wine. I know. He swallowed. So, your mom told me about the wedding. I raised an eyebrow. Did she? Yeah. I wasn't sure if I should come, but she said. I cut him off. You should definitely come. He blinked. I should. I leaned in slightly, lowering my voice just enough that he had to listen closely. Oh, absolutely, I said sweetly. It'll be a great opportunity for you. His brow furrowed. For what? I smiled. The kind of smile that wasn't really a smile. For closure. Cody's face fell. And for the first time since he broke me, I saw it, realization. He had lost me. Forever. And I couldn't wait for him to watch me walk down that aisle. To someone better. Cody did show up at the wedding. But let me backtrack first, because the drama leading up to it was even worse than I expected. After that uncomfortable run-in at my cousin's dinner, I thought Cody might chicken out. He looked miserable when I told him to come for closure, and I half hoped he'd take the hint and just stay away. But no, that would have been too easy. Because 2 weeks later, I got a text. "Cody, can we talk?" I almost laughed. We hadn't spoken in 2 years. Now he wanted to talk? Me, no. 5 minutes later, another text. "Cody, please. Just once." I showed it to Kai, expecting him to tell me to block him and move on. Instead, my fiancé gave me a lazy smirk. "Do it," Kai said. "Meet him." I raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because I want to know exactly what kind of pathetic excuse he's going to give," Kai said, stretching his arms over his head. "And because it'll piss him off when he realizes you don't care." I bit my lip. It was a little tempting. And fine. Maybe I wanted to look Cody in the eye one last time before I closed that chapter for good. So I texted him back. "Me, fine. One drink. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. He replied in seconds. "Cody, thank you." "Yeah, don't thank me yet, buddy." The next evening, I met him at a small, dimly lit bar in town. The second I walked in, he stood up so fast he nearly knocked over his drink. "Mia," he breathed out, eyes scanning me like he hadn't seen me in decades instead of 2 damn years. I sat down, keeping my expression cool and neutral. "You wanted to talk. So talk." Cody hesitated, running a hand through his hair. I don't really know where to start." "Start with why you texted me out of nowhere," I said flatly. He sighed. "Look, I know I messed up." I barked out a laugh. "You messed up? That's what you call cheating on me with my best friend for months, lying to my face, and then letting me think I was crazy when I started noticing things were off." He flinched. "I never meant to hurt you." I leaned back in my seat. "Funny, because you sure as HLL did." Cody opened his mouth, then shut it again, looking like he was struggling to find words. "Good. Let him struggle." After a long pause, he finally muttered, "I miss you." I laughed. Out loud. People actually turned to look. "You miss me?" I echoed. "That's hilarious, Cody. What exactly do you miss? The way I trusted you? The way I would have done anything for you while you were off screwing someone else?" He exhaled, rubbing his face. "I don't have an excuse. I don't even know why I did it. He trailed off. "I ruined everything." "Yeah, you did." He looked up at me then, something desperate in his eyes. "I haven't been the same since you left." I rolled my eyes. "That sounds like a problem." Cody swallowed hard. I wanted to see if there was even the smallest chance for us to talk again. Maybe." I cut him off. "Not happening." He blinked. "But I'm marrying someone else in a month, Cody," I said firmly. "A better man. A man who actually respects me." Cody's face twisted, like he had just tasted something rotten. "Kai, right?" he muttered. "Yep." He scoffed, shaking his head. "You're really gonna marry him?" I tilted my head. "Why? You think I should still be single, pining after you? Get over yourself." Cody clenched his jaw. I didn't think it'd be serious." That sent a flash of pure fury through me. "You didn't think I'd actually move on?" I said, my voice is sharper now. "You thought I'd just stay broken forever? Crying over you." "I didn't mean it like that," he said quickly. You just assumed you could come back whenever you felt like it." I finished for him. Like I was some backup option. Cody looked guilty as HLL. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. "Let me make this very, very clear. I do not want you. Not now. Not ever again. You were just a mistake I learned from. Nothing more." He swallowed hard, his hands gripping the table like he needed to hold on to something. "You should still come to the wedding though," I added, standing up. "Might be educational for you." And with that, I walked out, without looking back. The next time I saw him was at the rehearsal dinner. Yes, he actually showed up. And the second he walked in, I felt the entire room shift. Conversations quieted. People noticed. Kai was standing beside me, talking to one of his groomsmen, when his eyes flicked up. And then he smirked. "Ah," he murmured. "There's the guest of honor." I turned my head, my heart pounding. Cody was standing near the entrance, looking uncomfortable as HLL. He had that same guilty, regretful expression he'd worn at the bar. And I knew exactly why he was here. He wanted one last chance. Too bad for him. I was already gone. Kai took my hand, his grip warm and steady. "You want me to deal with him?" he asked casually. I exhaled slowly. "No," I said. "Let him watch." And so we continued, pretending he wasn't even there. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. The way Cody kept looking at me. And I knew, without a doubt, that he was regretting every decision that had led to this moment. But regret wouldn't change a damn thing. Because tomorrow, I was walking down that aisle. And Cody? He was just another ghost in my past. Cody didn't leave after the rehearsal dinner. I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd slink away after realizing he was out of place. But no. Instead, he lingered, hanging around like some sad, unwanted ghost. I could feel his eyes on me every time I laughed, every time Kai touched me. And I knew, deep down, that this wasn't just about supporting an old friend, or maintaining family harmony, like my mother claimed. Cody wanted something. And sure enough, before the night was over, he found a way to corner me. I had just stepped outside for some air when I heard footsteps behind me. I knew it was him before I even turned around. Mia. I sighed. Cody, what do you want? He hesitated, shoving his hands into his pockets. I needed to talk to you. Alone. I exhaled sharply, turning to face him. Cody, there's nothing left to say. His expression tightened. I think there is. I crossed my arms. You've got 5 minutes. Use them wisely. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling like he was trying to figure out how to phrase something. And then, he said the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. Are you sure you want to marry him? I stared at him. Actually started. Because surely, I had misheard. Excuse me. Cody swallowed. I need to know. Are you sure? A slow, burning anger started building in my chest. Cody, do you seriously think you get to ask me that? I know it sounds bad. Oh, it sounds insane. I cut in. 2 years, Cody. You didn't give a damn when I was crying myself to sleep every night. You didn't care when I was picking up the pieces of my life. But now, one day before I marry the man who actually deserves me, you suddenly care. His jaw clenched. I never stopped caring about you. I laughed. Out loud. You could have fooled me. Cody stepped closer, his voice softer now. I was scared, Mia. I messed up, and I knew I couldn't fix it. So I ran from it. But I never stopped thinking about you. I shook my head. That's not love, Cody. That's guilt. He exhaled sharply, looking frustrated. Look, I know I don't have the right to ask you for anything. But I needed to see you. To make sure you were really happy. I stared at him for a long moment. And then, I said the most honest thing I'd ever said to him. I am. His face fell. You don't need to worry about me. I continued. You lost that privilege a long time ago. And for the record, I am marrying Kai. And I am going to be so happy. Cody's hands curled into fists. Do you still love me? That question should have made my heart race. Should have made me hesitate. But instead, all I felt was relief. Relief that I could finally, honestly say, no. And then, without another word, I turned and walked away. I barely thought about Cody after that. Not when my bridesmaids helped me into my dress. Not when my dad gave me a teary-eyed hug before walking me to the ceremony. But the second I stepped into the aisle, I saw him, standing in the crowd, watching me with that same regretful, broken look. And for the first time, I wasn't angry. I wasn't even hurt. I just didn't care. And that was the most freeing feeling in the world. Because today wasn't about Cody. It was about me. And the man waiting for me at the altar. Cody's presence at my wedding should have been insignificant. He was nothing more than a past mistake, an afterthought in a life that had moved on without him. But of course, he couldn't just sit quietly and watch. I noticed it almost immediately. The way he wasn't just standing among the guests, he was staring. Not in a subtle, respectful way, either. No, Cody was watching me like a man on the verge of a breakdown. His jaw tight, his hands balled into fists. I ignored him. I kept my eyes forward, focused on Kai, my future, my peace, my love. But apparently, Cody didn't get the message. Because just when I thought he'd behave himself and let the past stay buried where it belonged, he did the unthinkable. The ceremony was already halfway through. The air was thick with anticipation, the moment delicate and perfect. My fingers were wrapped in Kai's, my heart racing. Not with fear, but with the overwhelming certainty that this was right. And then, as if on cue from some twisted romance movie, a voice rang out from the crowd. Cody's voice. Mia, wait. A cold silence ripped through the ceremony. I felt my breath hitch, my grip tightening in Kai's hand as I turned, slowly, disbelieving, toward the man who had just made the biggest mistake of his life. The guests gasped. Whispers broke out. My mother visibly froze. Kai. He didn't even turn around. His posture remained perfectly relaxed, his hand still steady in mine. But I could feel it, the slight shift in his breathing, the subtle tightening of his fingers. He was pissed. Cody stepped forward, eyes wild, desperate. Mia. I can't let you do this. I blinked. Excuse me. A murmur ran through the crowd. Kai finally spoke, his voice dangerously calm. You sure you want to finish that sentence, man? Cody ignored him. His eyes stayed on me, pleading. Mia, I know I don't deserve a second chance, but I had to say something. I can't just let you. Let me? I cut in, my voice icy. Cody swallowed. You don't love him. Not like you loved me. A sharp, collective inhale from the crowd. Kai exhaled slowly, shaking his head. He was smiling, but it wasn't a friendly smile. I, on the other hand, felt something snap. Because how dare he? How dare Cody act like this was some tragic love story instead of the consequences of his own choices? You're right. I finally said, my voice slicing through the tension. Cody's face flickered with hope. Mia, I don't love Kai the way I loved you. I continued, my expression unwavering. Because what I had with you wasn't love. It was blind devotion. It was a one-sided fantasy where I thought if I just gave enough, if I just sacrificed enough, you'd finally treat me the way I deserved. Cody's mouth opened, but no sound came out. I stepped forward, my voice unwavering. But Kai, I love him more. More than I ever loved you. Because he actually deserves it. Because he actually loves me back. The silence was deafening. Cody's face crumbled. His hands trembled at his sides. And then, Kai finally turned. He didn't say a word. He just looked at Cody, head tilted slightly, assessing, amused. And then, in the calmest, most devastating voice imaginable, he said, "Are you done embarrassing yourself?" Cody flinched. Kai let out a quiet chuckle, shaking his head. Because, man, this is just sad. A few guests laughed. Someone in the back actually clapped. Cody's face burned red, his gaze darting between me and Kai. I could see it now, the full weight of his mistake crushing him. "I think it's time for you to go," Kai added. "Before you make this even worse for yourself." Cody looked at me, one last time. But I had nothing left for him. No anger. No sadness. Nothing. And for the first time, I saw it click behind his eyes. He had truly, completely lost me. With a sharp inhale, Cody turned and pushed through the crowd, disappearing down the aisle like a man with no way out. The whispers died down. The tension lifted. And then, slowly, Kai turned back to me, his smirk widening. "Now," he murmured, only for me to hear, "Where were we?" And just like that, the world faded away. Because Cody was gone. And my future? It was right in front of me. Cody was gone. The moment he pushed through the crowd and disappeared from my wedding, the air felt lighter. The tension unraveled. The whispers faded. And as I turned back toward Kai, his hand still warm in mine, the only thing left was clarity. I was exactly where I was meant to be. Kai raised an eyebrow, his thumb brushing over my fingers. "You good?" I exhaled, letting a slow smile creep onto my lips. "I was more than good. Never better," I said. A ripple of quiet laughter spread through the guests. The officiant cleared his throat, clearly trying to gather himself after the absurd spectacle that had just unfolded. "Well," he said, chuckling nervously, "if there are no more interruptions, shall we continue?" I turned fully back to Kai, eyes locking onto his, and squeezed his hand. "Yes, we shall." And just like that, we picked up right where we left off. No hesitation. No lingering ghosts. Just me, standing before the man I loved, ready to step into a future Cody had no place in. The ceremony was beautiful. The moment I said, "I do," every ounce of the past felt like it had burned away. But the real moment of revenge came at the reception. Because, as fate would have it, Cody didn't leave entirely. No, he was still lurking. From the corner of my eye, I spotted him outside the venue, standing near the parking lot, staring through the floor-to-ceiling windows like a lost puppy. Pathetic. He was watching everything. The speeches, the dancing, the laughter. And most importantly, he was watching me. Happy, radiant, glowing in a way I never had with him. It must have been excruciating. And then, Kai took the mic. I already knew my husband was a confident, composed man. But nothing prepared me for the way he sealed Cody's fate with just a few words. Kai clinked his glass, standing at the head of the room, his presence commanding everyone's attention. "First of all, I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight," he said smoothly. "It means the world to us." A murmur of agreement, the clinking of glasses. Cody, still outside, watching. Kai continued, his voice casual but deadly precise. "Now, I know weddings are supposed to be about love and new beginnings," he said. "But sometimes, they're also about closure." My heart skipped. Kai's eyes flicked to mine, dark and knowing. Then, without breaking his smirk, he raised his glass slightly. "I think we can all agree that nothing is more satisfying than seeing the right people end up together." Scattered applause. A few people definitely knew what he was implying. And then, Kai landed the final blow. "To my beautiful wife," he said, turning to me fully, "I promise to never take you for granted, to always cherish you, and to make sure you never waste another second on someone who didn't deserve you in the first place." I felt the entire room react. Gasps, laughter, a few knowing glances. And outside, Cody's face crumbled. It was over. He had lost. I lifted my own glass, staring straight into Kai's eyes. "And I promise," I said, "to spend the rest of my life appreciating a man who actually knows what love is." The room exploded in applause. And outside, Cody finally walked away. For good. I didn't hear from Cody after that. Not directly, anyway. But a week later, I got a message from a mutual acquaintance. A simple, casual text. "Cody's been a mess since the wedding. He told me he'll never forgive himself for losing you." I stared at the message for a long moment. Then, I simply smiled. Good. Because here's the thing about real revenge. It's not about cruelty. It's not about getting even. It's about making them realize they did it to themselves. And as I curled up next to Kai that night, my husband's arm wrapped around me, I knew one thing for certain. Cody would regret losing me for the rest of his life. And that was enough.